I just wanted to do a latest update on the case on 30th of June. It looks like it's not going to happen, and the court has ruled that that they are going to have a court-appointed solicitor to represent my wife. She doesn't have the mental capacity to conduct her or make decisions of that kind, and court also refuses any of her family to represent her. And basically, so far it's at that. The judge made this ruling order on the grounds on, I believe, Phil Fisher's barrister that stood in because of my wife's previous barrister wasn't available or something like that. He cited 3 cases that he asked the judge to make a ruling on that basis. Well, I don't, I'll have to put the tapes in of the conversation and the names of these particular cases, because I'm not very genned up in all these case files, as you know how difficult it is to obtain it. And as far as I'm not sure whether expert witness report, but I needed to make a statement about expert witness report. I really believe we reached the stage now with expert witness report that we can't trust them anymore. I believe the judges and the law lords do know this, but it shows you there's something far more powerful than even our law lords that have this fear of realizing that the expert witness, I think, should be abolished from our legal system, because we've reached a point that they earn too much money from the defendants, and they're prepared to make any report. The only way I would accept an expert witness report is the way when I used to run my business. I used to make deals with massive deals, and I used to say, like, I would accept whatever you do, provided you swear on your mother's life, your father's life, and your children, may they rot in hell or die immediately of a horrible death, and I would accept any deals we make after that. And that's how I used to run my business. Mind you, that business was called B. Collin Footwear International. So those who lived in Edmonton, Enfield, Southgate, all this area that can remember B. Collin Footwear International, well, that's me. But that business unfortunately has succumbed to so many robberies that we had to close it down, because we dealt in all types of shoes and the latest trainers, and exported it to Jamaica and things like that. But we were losing more money than we were making, because at that time, trainers were very popular, and it was just coming in, and people were paying a fortune for the names, and but because the way I was dealing my business, I don't think some of the firms like it that the way I was dealing with my business, and I think they must have targeted me with all the bloody thieves around, so that had to be closed. I suppose you're wondering how my business was run in the shoe side of my business. What I was doing was I was the middleman supplying to little retailers that couldn't afford to have a massive amount of display. I was bringing in quite a few interesting new lines and putting it for them. We worked out a percentage that I got out of it, and I think that part of the business they never knew about it. They didn't like what the big guys didn't like was I was selling it direct to one parent families at a much lower rate, and allowing them to have it on credit. So of course that part of the business, I think they hated it. So I think the big guys just wanted it closed. Well, I still have about £5,000 worth of stock in my loft. I think they were Lady Diana shoes. Just couldn't bring myself to get rid of it after she died, and Probably one day they will be worth something. I don't know. Can you all remember Lady Diana's shoes? Not sure who I got it from. I think it was John White's. Well, since there's not going to be a trial on the 30th, I don't know. Haven't made up my mind yet. Should I go down there with my wife and my friends with a banner saying that this is what happens when you take on big corporates? If between the whole lot of them have decided that there's no way this case is going to court, and I don't think there is going to be any way of this case going to court, and I'm going to decide on that basically, and probably get the feedback on my friends and whatnot. Would they still would like to go there with our banners and tell like the British public what we think of the British legal system? But still, I'll have to think about that as we go along and communicate with some of my friends. Thanks. By the way, at the meeting today, the 23rd, Monday, the court-appointed solicitor and my solicitor and our barrister, I believe the court-appointed solicitor had decided that they will accept whatever the offer was set forward. So we haven't got a say in it at all, basically. So that may be another thing that probably in the future, I don't think the working people or the public here we seem to be extremely weak. Probably, in a little while, a year or two's time, that as the internet improve and people learn to get together and know which side they belong to, we might be able to question all this type of behavior. Whether is there any human rights people out there that got any balls on, which I find today's society is quite sickening, really. Nobody's willing to speak up. Anybody who knows the area that is being covered, and I see, sadly, I've opened a new group in Google Groups for personal injury cases and few others. I will eventually, put it on here so people can realize that we all need to gang together, because that's all it is, really. The whole world consists of gangs. It's not really, they call it politics and royal families and what. Basically, I look at it as, the reality is basically gangs, of groups. You got to form yourself into a massive group, and that's the only way you're going to take on the system, because they don't understand any other language. It's like us when we go and deal, want to blow people up. It's nothing but a big gang with the biggest weapons, and who we can kill the most, and basically that is it. Another important thing I feel I need to add, like with the personal injury cases and all, people are frightened to show themselves, or they're shy to speak up. But I don't think you should be like, in my case, I realize that there comes a time in one's life. I know I'm a much older person today. Whether I could have done it when I was 25 or whatever, probably may not. But we need to stand up and show our face. And very difficult with people. I know in the States where you're calling presidents under the name of the sun, and God knows what else. But I think, like with cases like ours, you need to come on and speak up and show yourself or whatever. But you got to be an identity that people can relate to, But at the end of the day, you got to stand up and be counted, basically.